Hey, it's Lowry Smith of the CommanderSmiths here with opening with a order from CK about $200 worth, all credit. I just send in my extras that I can't trade away or sell away, and then I get cards that I want. You know what I mean? Kind of like trading anyway. So this should go pretty quick. Got some goodies, got some baddies. Some of it's just like cheaper cards that I'm interested in. That's impatient for. Um, so you'll be able to see what I find a little interesting and stuff like that. Let's see here. Little cutie treasure token. There we go. All right. So we have Mardu Outrider, super cheap. This was one of those like um so it's from Mystery Box, but also it's like one of those internet only cards, I think. I don't know. I've never seen this card, so I can't think of it. Velican Dragon, another one from the mystery box. Also, I think it's one of those internet cards that could transfer. Pretty cool in that regard. Archive Trap can, you know, target opponent mills 13 cards. This was a really expensive card before this reprint, and I figured I'd get a decently cheap foil of it. I think it was like 3, 4, $5 ish. And that's worth it. And then you got Stella Lee Wild Card. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library until in the next turn. You may play that card and then tap to copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets. Activate it only if you've cast 3 or more spells this turn. Hoping that I can fit this into the new unified Narset deck, the dragon thing. So hopefully I can get in there. Angelic Cell Sword. I just like it that it's making tokens when it ETBs and its error attacks. Whenever it or another non-token creature enters, create a 1/1. Kind of into that a little bit right now. Smoldering Stagecoach. Uh, its power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Whenever it attacks, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn has Cascade. Cascade School. Crew, vehicles are so, but 4 mana, crew 2, have an attack, and you get the Cascade. Something's kind of cool. Lotus Ring. I got this for Zerta. Basically, equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has vigilance, and then tap, sack this creature, add 3 mana of any color, and then you get to, pay 1 to equip it over. It's indestructible. Should be decently cool. We'll see what happens. Storm Scale Scion. This is going in the dragon deck of Nariv, I believe. Might not, but Storm on a dragon that gives +1/+1 is pretty sweet. So we'll go with it. That's that promo foil right now, too. Uh, Zopladrill, Hunger Dominus. This was always an expensive card, and I was hoping it went down. It'd go down after rotation, and it really didn't. So I decided to make my move on it. I think non-foil's sitting at like 15 or 16 on CK. This was 17 or 18. Um, that is what it is, huh? Gilded Goose. God, that's pretty. Just getting some pretty versions of cards that I already use. I only got one, huh? I think that was all that was available. Welcoming Vampire. It's foil. It's a card that I like using in white. And it's drawing you cards for little guys. Cheap buck or two. Well worth it. Benevolent Hydra. This is the only foil version of it. This one was $14, 14 or 15. I use this card in the counter decks for sure. I'm gonna flip my non-foil version now. I'll just hang on to this one for now. We got Clarion Conqueror. I think it's a good card. It's a 3/3 activated abilities of artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers can't be activated. It's only 3 mana. It's a dragon. It's doing a lot of work. And it was cheap. I want to say it was like $3-ish for what it's doing. Oftentimes these kind of take off in standard for a bit. They do drop after they rotate, but this feels very much like a non-legendary Linvala, and I'll go with that. Frostcliff Siege, 3 mana enchantment. You can either choose to have your creatures, when they deal damage to a player, draw a card, or they get +1/+0 and trample and haste. Like, both of those are really good at 3 mana. Aligned Heart. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you get to create creatures, which is pretty cool. You got Becoming the Avalanche, which is drawing a card, and each creature gets plus X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. You got Divine Visitation, which is super cheap right now, by the way. With that reprint, it's like 250. So I picked up one, two more. Not a bad deal right there. Diviner of Mist. It's a 5 mana dragon that mills cards and lets you do stuff from the graveyard. Um, it's not a. It's an interesting card. Super cheap, 50 cents. I want to say. Iron Will Forger. Hopefully, I bought more than one, so I got two. But this is given Myriad if your commander's in play to something. And I like that. I like Myriad's really cool. Jaws of Defeat, enchantment. Whenever a creature you control enters, target opponent loses life equal to the difference between that creature's power and its toughness. Obviously, this goes into a big butt deck. Um, it is what it is. It's going to be good in Felidar, Doran, stuff like that. A Leyline Tyrant, again, that reprint made it pretty cheap. It was probably already cheap, but I only have one. Get a second. Lord of Extinction, also might be reaching its limit on reprints, but might as well take a stab at it. I want to say this was a buck. Did I get more? Yeah. So it's a little bit of a spec target. I already have one or two, but hopefully this goes back up to 10 and then I just get rid of them. Rock's Faith Mender was a $5-6 card. Now it's a buck. Picked up two more of those. Sarkon Soul of Flame. This was a $9, $8, $9, $10 card before this reprint. Now it's a buck or two. Lowering dragon spells and becomes a dragon. What Sarkon does best. So we'll go with that. Sylvan's Curated, also cheaper now. Went out and got two of those. So I have three at this point. Arcane Proxy. Oh man. I don't it's one that I want to play more, and I feel like if it's shiny like this, I might put it in more decks. That's very pretty. Tempest Technique. It's Storm putting, cards on or auras on a card. Pretty cool. Voracious Bibliophile. Did I only get one? That was like 250, 350. But whenever you cast a spell with one or more targets, draw that many cards. It's a dragon, 4 mana, 3/3 flying vigilance. Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna draw me cards. We'll see where it goes. Weathered Sentinel, this one seems to recover pretty well too. I'll probably try and trade this away at like $5-6 at this point. I want to say it was like a buck or two. And if not, it's a cool wall. I'll keep that. Floral Evoker. Landfall. I always try and just get a landfall. Hammerhead Tyrant. Got two of those, but whenever you cast a spell, return up to one target, non-land permanent, and opponent controls with mana value less. Get two of those. Bounce spells can be oppressive, so you got to watch it a little bit. It's very much like a Tidespell Tyrant at less mana. So, Ruiner of the House. Return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile this card. Um, nice big mass reanimation spell. Welcome the Dead. Sorcery, draw two cards and discard a card. And you lose 2 life. Create X tapped 2/2 black zombie druid creature tokens, where X is the number of cards that were put into the graveyard from your hand or library this turn. Also has flashback. That's pretty cool. Gandalf the Secret Fire. This has something to do with suspend, so it's pretty cheap, like a buck. Gemstone Array. This is for Zerta, because then you can just pay one, put a charge counter on it, remove those charge counters, and then you get colored mana. And so there's a way to just kind of like store mana a little bit, and super cheap there. And it's cheap. I mean, this was like $6 in foil. It's super cheap non-foil. So, but I felt like it's kind of an older foil at this point. Hergast, Erupting Nullkite, just a legendary dragon I didn't have at that point. And then Akum Hellkite, landfall, dealing 1 damage. There seems to be more and more support for dealing, when 1 damage is dealt, something else happens. And so I wanted to get that. It's pretty cool. Onto the next half of the package. What I do is I find a card and I'm like, oh, I don't have that. I don't have that. So then I try and put it to my trades, and then it kind of builds up over a little bit of time, and then a few months later, I make an order and then take off anything that looks like a decent buy, and then anything that doesn't look like a decent buy, I don't buy it. I work with what I got as long as I'm getting a decent deal. Let's get rid of that. Tape is an old enemy of mine. I don't have any nails, so all that shit sucks. Struggling here. Always do. Always struggle. All right. Let's see what we got here. We got Thran Dynamo and foil. That's an FTV foil. They kind of bend and curl, but they're pretty. They're good foiling. You find some prisoners. It's just removal with choices. Probably get this in my. I forgot what a Riku deck. There we go. Second Harvest, old bordered foil. It's a very pretty card, and it's very good in token decks. Dance Macabre. That was like 250. It's just bringing stuff back. Cold Stoke Gear Hulk foil. I want to say it was 99 cents. Gear Hulks tend to be good, even though these might be a little bit more balanced than the first set. But all those got pretty cheap after a while anyway. So I'm not going to spend a lot of money on the Gear Hulks, but if they're cheap, I'll get them. Pyrowood, Gear Hulk, same thing. What's going on? Radiant Lotus. This one was like $8-ish at this point, but tap, sacrifice one or more artifacts, choose a color. Target player adds 3 mana of the chosen color for each artifact sacrificed this way. It doesn't come into play tapped. It's 6 mana. You can use it right away. It's feels like a ritual that you can continually use. Legion of Loyalty. Foiling has gotten pretty cheap. I want to say this was like $2, but given all your creatures myriad is a sweet deal to end the game. Got 2 of those. Overlord of the Boiler Bilges. There we go. Give me a second.
What?
Can't even read.
Yeah, but ETBs and dealing damage to any target. It's a cheap one, but all the other ones are pretty well priced, and so that's what we're gonna go off of. Maybe this does well. The Wandering Rescuer. Creature that other tapped creatures you control have hexproof. It has Convoke. I have a Convoke deck. Let's roll with this for $2. See if it makes it in there. We have Charred Foyer and Warped Space. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. 4 mana is a little bit, but once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast from exile. So they keep on giving more and more stuff for casting from exile bonuses, and so that is something that I'm trying to keep up on before it becomes like a thing. It already is, but Formless Genesis, Changeling, create an XX colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling and Death Touch, where X is the number of land cards in your graveyard. It has Retrace. I can make some big creatures, and I'm kind of tempted by the Lugifor deck again. So Cleon, Mary Champion, just a cheap one. Same thing with Gilded Scuttler. Can't be blocked, and when it enters, tap target creature and opponent controls. Yeah, nothing big. Oh, good for you. A Formless seems kind of fun in a winter deck. Which one's Formless? Oh, Genesis. Yeah. I think I would, if I had it at the time, I would have put it in my Mothman deck because you're milling so much, and I had a Lugifor deck going on. Thanks for showing up, guys. Herska Sweet Tooth. This one's kind of cool. Again, they keep on giving food some stuff to work with. So when it attacks, create a food token. Whenever you gain life, you may pay a Selesnya. And then if you do, target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you gained. It seems like I'm going to try and get this in my Treebeard deck. Nice little boost. Near Divinous Diver. Say that 3 times fast, but 3 mana, 2/2. When it becomes tapped, target player mills a card equal to its power, so it'd be 2 in this case, unless you pump it. And then whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard or activated ability from your yard, draw a card and put a 1/1 counter on Near Div. So that one's $5-ish bucks, but I felt like that's doing something pretty cool and unique. And just these jumpstart legends, don't want them to jump on me without getting them. So again, Slinza, the Spike Stampede. This one was pretty all right, but it's beast central, does some fighting, lowers the cost, 1/1 counters, stuff like that. Sutina, Speaker of the Jaru. That's Zendikar. But 2/2, when it ETBs, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then whenever it attacks, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand to put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It's just another Fairhaven Elf type card that goes and gets basic lands and put them into play. I got 2 of them. Pretty cheap. Woodland Liege, 3 mana. Whenever a beast you control enters, draw a card. There's a couple of beast cards in there, and that seems like it might be a thing on their mind. So I'm picking up some beast cards. Wriggling Grub, 2 mana, 1/1. When it dies, create 2 1/1 black and green worm creature tokens. Pretty cool in that way. Blasphemous Edict. This card's pretty sweet, and it has not gone down too much. But 5 mana. I want to say this was $10, the full art foil for it, but it costs less for each creature that's in play, and then each player sacrifices 13 creatures of their choice. So it's gonna kill the board for the most part. And then you got Zool Assure that allows you to cast zombies from the graveyard, which is pretty cool. Ren N7 with that reprint and the Masters set is cheap. Foil's like 250. I should have gotten 2, 3. Yeah. So I'm going after the remastered ones right now. Not a bad deal. Necro Duality. This is a $10 old border foil. Whenever a non-token zombie you control enters, create a token that's a copy of that creature. It's going to do some work if I ever make a zombie deck. We'll see. Sigarda, old border foil, very pretty. Glad that I have that. I used to love this card. Don't play it much anymore, but that's a pretty card right there. Very happy. Chandra Dress to Kill. That was like 250. That was a $10-15 card in standard. Now it's reprinted and super cheap. We'll see what we do with it. Necrodominance. This feels like it's going to be a modern card, or it's just a second Necropotence in your deck for the most part. They have some differences, but they're pretty cool. All right, what are we saying, Snoop? Oh, I just added Zool Assure to my zombie deck. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Yeah. Necrodominance, cool one. I picked up 2 of those. I think I have 3 at this point. Marvo Deep Operative. This is one that clashes, and we're going into Lorwyn. So this is the first thing that outside of Lorwyn that has clash, and so figured that I should at least get one. Take the Bait is just a cool combat trick for red and white, so I wanted one of those. Dak Faden. This version's pretty cheap. I want to say $2. All the others are like 6, 7. So that's where we're at. So I picked up a couple of those. I really like him too. So like target player draws 2, discards 2. Doesn't have to be you, or you're just stealing the best, ramp piece on the board or best equipment. And then when you ultimate, whenever you cast a spell, target 1 or more, you gain control of that permanent. Like, this is a really cool planeswalker that just haven't played enough of even through the years. Eater of the Dead from the mystery booster. 0. If Eater of the Dead is tapped, exile target creature card from a graveyard and untap Eater of the Dead. This one was like 250. And I have one of these from the dark, and I just don't want to play it if I ever do have to play it, because those old cards are gorgeous, but I also don't want to wreck it. So there's that. And then Goblin Settler, before this reprint, it was like $100 card. But when it enters, destroy target land. That's the way to be. So it's more expensive than I want, but it's still cheaper than it's ever used to be. So, and that's it. You got a bunch of cards here. Hopefully you enjoyed, found something new, heard a price that you liked. Appreciate you coming out. Have a good night. Bye.